everyone, and welcome to Grip Locked, Foundation Disc Golf's weekly podcast. Today, you'll notice if you're watching, or if you're listening, you'll notice soon. I'm joined by Connor.
Hello, this is Connor.
Yeah, thank you for giving them that cue there. We have, once again, a different setup, just like last week. Last week, I was gone on vacation, and this week, Hunter's gone on vacation. So you guys get the privilege, and believe me, it is a privilege to listen to Connor 2 weeks in a row. You got to witness the Connor-Hunter dynamic, and now you get the Trevor-Connor dynamic.
I feel honored. There were a lot of really nice comments, and Hunter posted the poll, too, which was in favor of me being on here. So my head is a little bit too big right now. So
you heard it, comment section. That's time to humble them. Anyways, let's jump right in to the Dynamic Discs Open, formerly the Glassblown Open, the DDO. This went down this past weekend, and Paul in first place, 42 under, first Elite Series win of the season. He was followed by Ricky and Eagle, second place at 36 under, 6 shots back, and then Chris and Calvin bringing up after that at 35 under. But kind of the story here is McBeast kind of showing up there.
Yeah,
Paul
it's like something we haven't seen in a while.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I feel like we haven't seen beast mode in a while, and he went into it for sure.
Yeah, so Paul was down 4 after round 1, and he managed to climb himself into a tie after round 3, but then, recouping those strokes, 4 strokes after the first round, it's not a huge deal. But the fact that he was tied and had a lot of good players in contention going to that last round and just dominated the course, pulled away, won by 6 when there were, I mentioned there in the final scores, 4 of the top players in the world were right there on his heels. It wasn't like he only had one guy to pull away from. He pulled away from all of them. Mm-hmm. Everybody else was struggling when the winds picked up, and Paul seemed to shrug it right off, for sure.
And he had said in the Nick and Matt Show interview that his putt was just feeling really good.
Yeah.
Which he said that's been the struggle for him this season. And this tournament, his putt was just feeling really good. And so that might mean that we start seeing more things more in Paul's personality that we've seen in the past, which is a lot more wins coming up.
For sure.
If he's got his putt where he wants it.
Yeah, it is definitely scary scenes out there when Paul's putt gets going. Whenever you're putting well in the wind, it's you're going to gain so many more strokes because everybody else is struggling. Typically, and I, just watching the coverage, I saw that a lot of the guys were really having difficulty. The winds were, I think, gusting up to 25, 30 miles an hour at some point. So it was by no means easy to putt at all. But some of the other stories, another one that we had kind of talked about, this guy you'd mentioned, I think, is Ben Callaway.
Yeah, I was
Callaway,
not expecting to see him up there.
He is kind of having an interesting breakout season right now. So he's got back-to-back. He had an average start to the season, but he's got back-to-back top 10s now. He's the first Pro Tour top 10s of his career. I looked at his stats, kind of try to figure out what he's got working, but he's really just a balanced stat line. Nothing really stands out, but definitely an interesting, and he's a Discraft guy, so there's just another one for Discraft. But interesting name to keep an eye on because, he's kind of coming out of nowhere lately.
Yeah, I mean, I would have expected him to pull away at like one of the tournaments where there was a lot more of the top pros not really showing up.
Yeah.
What was the tournament last weekend?
Last week was Mid-America Open.
There was one of them that a lot of people weren't showing up to.
It's probably a Silver Series.
Yeah. And I would expect him to maybe pull away at something like that, but this was still a pretty stacked field at this tournament.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, he did a great job. Yeah. It was awesome.
Yeah, definitely going to be interested to see. I feel like this season, we'll talk about this a little bit later, but I feel like this season, a lot of the guys we really hyped up have underperformed, and a lot of guys we did not see coming have overperformed what we thought. And Ben Callaway could be one of those players for sure. Another big storyline that we've been following, week to week is the USDGC qualifying spots.
Yeah.
And the big one was Brody Smith, opened with 2 9-under rounds, was, I think, maybe 13th. He was up there. He was top 15 for sure. He might have been even higher. And so
I think he might have been tied for 10th.
He was close to top 10. Yeah. So he was 18 under after 2 rounds. 21 under ended up being the number he needed to be at to get a USDGC spot, and he shot +2 for the last 2 rounds. I personally thought this was the week. I
did too.
Back-to-back 9-unders, and I was like, oh man, he's strung 2 in a row together. I was like, we'll see what happens in crunch time, but moving day coming up, I was like, if he can put one more together, like this is I thought it was his event, and I thought this was going to be the first event where we saw him finish top 10, top 5, like contend a little bit, but yeah, I just couldn't quite keep it together.
He's going to be soon, though.
It's getting
soon. He's going to be a top competitor.
Yeah,
because it's wrong to call Brody a new player, because with how much he practices and how much effort he puts into it, he's got the same experience at this point that people who've been playing for years and years have. But like, that's what's going to be a struggle for him, is the consistency. And I'm sure that he would say that his struggle is the consistency with it. But he was like pretty consistent. 2 9-under rounds are 2 really good rounds.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what he's been putting together, good rounds and then mixed in with some other stuff. But this was a tournament where he had some good consistency and then just, I guess, struggled a little bit through the last round. But I think that it's definitely pointing towards the fact that very soon he's going to be a top competitor.
Yeah, I mean, I think I picked him.
I would have loved to have seen him at USDGC, though.
Yeah, I'm really hoping. I'm not sure. There's still, obviously, USDGC is until October, so there's plenty of spots up for grabs. And, hey, even if he can't get in, he has that Monday qualifying, which I'm sure he would try to get in. And that would be exciting.
I want him to be in there so bad.
Yeah, but I would
so much fun to watch.
Yeah, I would love to see him play that course. Not to forget all the other players that actually did qualify for USDGC. So there are 5 spots up for grabs. Obviously, a lot of the top spots are already, as we've mentioned, they're taken by guys who are either exempt for winning the event before, like your James Conrads, your Paul McBeth, or they've just qualified earlier in the year. So the guys who got spots were Ty Love, Ezra Robinson, Zachariah Johnson, Andrew Presnell, who's a good one who I didn't know was in yet, and Gavin Rathbun, who's another guy who's having a really breakout season. So good for him.
Good names, yeah.
Yeah, so a lot more good players were able to get in there. And yeah, the USDG storyline has been really fascinating to follow. I don't remember it ever being, I don't know if they structured it new this year, but I don't remember it ever being this like exciting to pay attention to, but it's like a lot of fun to watch and see. Yeah. Cause it like adds a whole nother layer to watching the leaderboard. You're like, not only do I care about who's going to win, but if somebody pulls away, you can be like, well, here's all these guys. Cause usually even if the leaderboard, like first place is not really in contention, like there's so many spots for USDGC, like there's like 5 at these big Pro Tour events typically, where there's going to be a million people, it seems like, in the mix of like who can get those spots, and they're just they're very attainable for like those middle of the road pros too, and it's a really cool opportunity, and it's an awesome story to follow,
and it makes it more exciting for actual USDGC as well.
Yeah,
because going into it, you now have all the drama built up and all the tension built up over this amount of time,
right?
And
yeah, that's
I don't know. USDGC is just one of my favorites.
One
of my favorite tournaments.
Well, that's something that I had written down is the whole like epicness and excitement of qualifying for an event. It raises the question, of what that role of qualification it has in disc golf, because obviously we've talked a lot about tour qualification, about how much prestige it adds to just being able to play a tour event. But what do you think about like where qualification should be used in disc golf? Should it just be used for big events, which events, or just kind of tours, or what do you think?
I don't know. I'm not sure I have like a super good opinion on that. I like that basically kind of the way that it has gone is that if you want to play an event, you can, whether or not you're actually going to be anywhere close to competing in it at all. But also, I do like, and I know that disc golfers don't like this word, but I do like a little bit of exclusivity.
Yeah, sure.
Because it just adds some more excitement to some events. And so I'm not really sure I have much more to say on it, because I don't have a firm opinion on it. It's just I can see benefits and cons to it as well.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think the only thing behind, USDGC is obviously just one event, and arguably the most popular event behind Worlds maybe. So like you're not, even though you have a qualification system, you're not worried about it basically rooting through players to where all of a sudden you don't have enough players in your event.
Yeah.
The tour, like having your Pro Tour events throughout the year, that's where there's a little more of a question of like, now they've already started doing some tiered registration, and like even they're introducing a tour card next year, but it's not an exclusive thing. It's a thing that you have to earn, but it only gives you certain rights, and it doesn't mean you need to have it to play events as far as what we understand about it yet.
It definitely depends for me, because like for USDGC, I definitely like having to qualify for it.
Yeah.
Because again, like what we just talked about, it's just it's so much more exciting, like leading up to the event. And then also it makes all the other events before that exciting because you're not just looking at first place, you're looking at these qualifying spots.
Yeah, I know that the Pro Tour seems to be taking a very cautious stance in their approach to building their tour before getting really cutthroat. They're trying to make sure they have enough good players that can play all their events consistently before they start really drawing lines in the sand, essentially. So I think it's just a matter of time, but obviously, I mean, with them introducing some version of a tour card, I think it is in their plans. And I love the idea of having to qualify for events. I think it's great. I would like to see, so in ball golf for the U.S. Open, and this would have to be down the road to when the sport's a lot bigger, there's a lot more players. But in ball golf for the U.S. Open, they call it the Open because now it's different because the USDGC isn't called the Open, but they call this the Open because they have qualifiers everywhere, like regional qualifiers. Then you go to like a higher up qualifier, and like anybody can try and qualify for this event. And usually, like you'll see on TV, like a few guys that are like stories because they're like, oh, it's some 16-year-old kid that qualified or something like that. And I think that'd be cool. But I think right now in disc golf, USDGC is accessible enough, like because you can qualify through Pro Tour events, that it kind of serves the same purpose. But I like the idea of qualification for sure. But let's jump over to the FPO because FPO, we had a dominant win from Haley King, winning by 6 strokes, same as Paul, winning by 6 strokes over Katrina Allen. Heather Young and Macy Walker, another name to remember, tied for third. This is back-to-back top fives for Macy Walker. She's kind of emerged onto the scene recently. Hope to see her touring more because this is another good event for her, back-to-back. But Haley King with a strong win, and what it really comes down to was Katrina's putting woes.
Yeah.
I dug through the statistics on this one again, looking for where that separation was, and Katrina, the rest of her stats, we know that she throws well, and this is kind of like
she's the best thrower of the disc.
Yeah, as Hunter says, she's the best thrower of the disc. I've said it a million times. He likes claiming that one, but yeah, I mean, she threw fine. I think she was top 5 in a lot of the throwing stats, like greens and reg and fairway percentage. Now Haley did throw slightly even better, but the real separation was Katrina putting 61% C1X for the event, and I think she was even 56% in like the third round, and that's abysmal.
Yeah,
that's pretty bad. Haley
on a Pro Tour, that's pretty bad.
And Haley,
for me, I'd be happy.
Yeah, really, yeah. I would take it for sure. But Haley, who is not necessarily known as a lethal putter by any means, but she putted pretty well. 76.
She's solid though, yeah.
Yeah, 76%. And then she led the field in fairways hit. But yeah, the putting, when you putt that much worse than somebody, even just percentage wise, it's pretty clear I'm sure she can look back and find 6 strokes. It's not super difficult. And, I'm a little bit surprised because, after her dominant win last weekend, I believe it was, and we kind of said once again, okay, Katrina Allen had a good putting weekend. Is she going to be able to build off of her momentum? That's what I keep waiting for, is for her to have a good putting week and then just gain confidence and take it into the next week. But now I will say, because there was wind present, and she has I will say her putt is a little floaty. It's definitely one of the putts is going to get punished by the wind more than others. Yeah. Even Haley has a much more direct, fast putt.
And Haley's tall, and she's got long arms, which helps get a lot more spin behind the putt as well.
Right, yeah. Yeah, Katrina not having a great wind putt, but in any case, yeah, I'm just kind of waiting for her to string it together and get it on track.
I had Haley as my second, I predicted her for second place, and I knew she was going to do well on this course because it's a big open course, so I knew usually where Haley gets in trouble is she's got a lot of power, and then a lot of times she throws too far.
Yeah,
and she gets OB strokes a lot too.
Yeah.
So I knew that as long as she could she could out-bomb everybody out there. I feel like maybe not, but she can freaking bomb. Mm-hmm. And I knew that as long as she could throw far and make putts, then she was going to do well. And I mean, I was right. I was not perfectly right, but I was close to right.
Yeah, and
but I also had a pretty awful pick as well.
Which one was that?
Missy Gannon.
Oh, yeah. Listen, like even the MPO is getting tough, but the FPO this year has been ridiculous.
Yeah, you never know.
It is a guessing game. They're all over the place. You never know who's going to pop into the top 3 out of nowhere, and you never know when Paige Pierce is going to stop playing well. So
Brody texted them in like their group message and said Connor with that Missy Gannon pick though.
Yeah, it was definitely brought to my attention.
Yeah.
But yeah, Haley King started to pick up a little bit of momentum, and there was, like those USDGC spots, we're tracking the Throw Pink Women's Disc Golf Championship spots, which I believe, Women's National US is, the US Championships for women is in the end of this month, I think, but this Throw Pink is later.
We looked this up last week.
Yeah, the Throw Pink one is
confusion
later.
with it, but I don't remember.
Well, we were thinking if they were the same thing.
Yeah, that's right.
But they're not.
You're right. That wasn't last week. That was the week before.
But, so Haley King had not qualified yet. She grabbed a spot for winning, and then Heather Young got the other spot because Katrina and Macy were already qualified. So there are some new players qualifying for that event. Then on to the most important results of any tournament, let's be honest, and that's the dark horse picks.
Oh, yeah. That is the only thing that we really
And let me tell you, at this point, it's getting ridiculous because you could read into the dark horse picks. Disc golf is already hard to predict, but you could read into it and make a really accurate prediction. But let's be honest, none of us do that.
No,
we do look for certain
bit.
things. We look for certain things like, if they're from the area, what's their
That's
rating looked like lately,
rating, and are they from the area?
But a lot of it's luck, and it's not on my side. I've lost for like the third or fourth time. Hunter had Nolan Ramser, who finished at 20 under, which that heck of a pick. That guy shot way above his rating. Excellent pick. Really worked out. Connor, you went with Justin Rozak.
I did, which he was doing so well.
Yeah.
He was doing so well.
And he finished at 7 under. And then I had JC Kester. And JC,
how do you do?
He was at 12 under going into the last round.
Pretty good.
So 5 over would have at least put us in like a tiebreaker.
Yeah.
And he shot 10 over. He finished at 2 under. So I was feeling very confident. And I think my guy I think JC went off in the first couple rounds to where I was like, oh, it's over. I got this week. No. So I think I need to Venmo Hunter because he's not here.
Yeah. Go ahead and do it right now.
Venmo Hunter. But yeah. Anyways.
Go ahead, do it.
I'll do it later. I don't have time right now. All right. I got the notes.
I just like to put it out there. I have not lost yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, Hunter's lost once, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the only one who hasn't lost
I was
yet.
going to say, I've lost every time except for once.
Yeah. But I've only won once.
I'm going to spend all my money on coffee. Anyways, so Dark Horse Picks not going my way. So, listen, if you are playing in any of these events, I know Hunter had somebody reach out to him trying to be his Dark Horse pick. If you if anybody has insider info,
you just feel like you're feeling really good,
or
week,
if you really are confident, let me know because I'm desperate at this point. It's getting really bad. But anyways, away from the DDO and on to a little segment we're gonna do. We don't know how many times we're gonna have Connor on this podcast. Hunter and I's vacations just happen to line up this way. But I figure we might as well take advantage while we have him and get, you always hear Hunter and my opinions on disc golf. You're tired of hearing it. Blah, blah, blah. Everybody doesn't get paid enough. Ratings are stupid. Flight numbers are stupid. Everything's stupid. You hate hearing it. You're sick of it. So you want to know what does Connor think? He's sitting there behind the camera, and you never know what that guy's thinking. Maybe he hates us. Maybe he thinks we're so wrong. So we're going to put him on the spot. And this is going to be Connor's takes on disc golf. We'll call this hot takes on hot takes. Because you're going to give us your hot takes.
Hot takes on hot takes.
Or your lukewarm takes on some hot takes. These are I wrote down 5 of the more controversial arguments in disc golf.
I feel like you're going to be a little bit disappointed just because I'm not. I feel like
you
need
to deliver.
More.
Here's the rules.
I'll try to get worked up.
The rule is you only have 1 minute to give your take. I'll have a timer.
I might not even need that.
And
stupid.
You have to. I'm going to set the timer, and you have to deliver some kind of absolute answer.
Oh gosh. Okay.
It doesn't necessarily have to be. It doesn't have to necessarily be a yes or no, but you have to take some kind of side. You can't just say I don't have an opinion either way.
Now, just to be clear, I don't have a ton of really strong opinions on these things, but the reason why Trevor's asking me this is because
you need to fake it till you make it.
I have a lot of strong opinions on a lot of other things.
Okay. Well, here's your first take. I'm just gonna read it as just not a question. It's just a take.
I'm ready.
Okay, take number 1, and you have 1 minute to respond. The rating system is stupid, inaccurate, and shouldn't exist. Go.
The rating system is stupid and accurate and shouldn't exist.
Inaccurate.
Yeah,
comma, and shouldn't exist. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm wasting your time.
I agree. The rating system is stupid and inaccurate. Should it not exist? I think there's a place for it.
Okay.
I think there's a place for ratings in order for going into tournaments. We have a better understanding of who should be placed where and stuff like that, who should compete with who, and also how we can have different level of tournaments.
Right.
I do believe they're inaccurate because I think they can be too easily swayed. There was a guy at the tournament that we filmed the other day while you were on your honeymoon, and Hunter told me about him, about how he had figured out like the way to do it was basically just don't play an event. Mm-hmm. So he didn't play any events for 2 years, and then played a couple, and now he's like, I think he's like, I don't remember, he's like way above 1,000 rated.
Okay.
And so I think that they're definitely they're pretty stupid.
And time. Right on time.
And right on, pretty stupid.
Perfect. Okay. That one, yeah, that's about right.
Yeah. I spend too much time with you guys, so of
All
course
right.
I'm not going to love ratings.
We just like persuaded you at this point. All right. Take 2. The dress code should be way more relaxed than ball golf. Players should be able to wear anything that isn't inappropriate. Start.
That's not a hot take. Just to be clear.
Now, these aren't necessarily hot takes.
Okay.
These are just popular takes.
Okay, gotcha. I disagree because everybody in disc golf wants. Okay, a lot of people in disc golf want disc golf to be popular at some point because it's more fun for us.
Sure.
And then people don't look at us as weird when we say I played disc golf. And in order for it to get there, there's got to be more professionalism in the sport.
Yeah.
And I think that a dress code can really help with that. So I don't think that it needs to be right now to mandatory pants and, well, probably, like trousers of sorts, but just not mandatory like long pants.
Right.
And like mandatory tucked in shirts. But I don't think I like the idea of doing a collar just because it feels more professional. Sure. And yeah, I think that there should be a stricter dress code.
Okay. You heard it here first.
And also the whole or nice dry fit thing, that's too ambiguous.
Wow. There's the hot take. All right.
There's a lot of dry fits that don't look nice.
We're going to go back to the dress code thing in a bit because I think there's more to be said about the dress code.
All right. I didn't hit what you wanted me to.
No, I want to open it up a little more. All right, take number 3. Disc golf courses are too easy. The pros shouldn't be consistently shooting 14 down at events.
You know what? It depends on. This is very much. I feel like people look at this in comparison to ball golf. Mm-hmm. For this situation, just know every time I say golf from now on, I'm referring to ball golf.
Okay.
But in golf, all the scores are a lot higher than they are in disc golf.
Right.
I don't know. The problem with that is the only reason why you would want to change the strokes on courses to make them harder is just to make them look better to outsiders, maybe. But I don't know if that really makes any sense. Because at the end of the day, you're all playing the same course, so it doesn't matter how easy or hard it is. It all depends on who's making putts and who's hitting the fairway consistently. So if you're in a tournament and everybody's playing the same course, it doesn't matter how easy or hard that course is. I mean, the player that plays best is going to win.
Dang right, man.
There you go. That one doesn't seem that complicated.
I think you agree with most. I think most people agree with you on that. Hunter and I are a little. I don't even know if Hunter and I agree on that. I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't hear you guys talk about that too
I
much.
I
like to play easy courses.
Yeah.
I like to play courses that are hard to play but easy to score well on. They make me feel good.
Yeah, I don't know. All right,
but that's not. I'm not saying the opinion. I'm not saying the opinion for me. I'm saying the opinion for pros. It doesn't matter how easy or hard the course is. Right. I want a course that's hard for them to play. I don't care what they're scoring. I'm only looking at their scores in comparison to everybody else's. I'm not looking at it as like 15 down doesn't mean anything to me. I want to know who's in second. You know what I mean?
Got it.
So that's why I don't really care.
Doesn't care. All right, you heard it first. Connor doesn't care.
Don't care.
All right, take number 4. The purse is distributed poorly. Too much money reaches the back end of the leaderboard, and it needs to be more top-heavy.
I do agree with that. I do agree that the purse needs to be heavier towards the top. than it is right now. And I think that's just because I know that everybody's talking about how we need to help support the people who are trying to tour. But at this point, the sport isn't small enough to where if we're worried about supporting the lower players, it's just going to die. No, if we don't support the lower players, somebody else is going to take their place. And so I think in order to make the sport grow more, make the competition more heavy, and motivate people to work harder throughout the season to get there, I say distribute the purse. Because, I mean, in disc golf, I feel like second place and third place is too good. I think that second place and third place shouldn't feel like as much of a win as it does. I think first place needs to have a heavier weight.
Okay. Man, Connor's he's really aligning with us. That money we bribed him with is really paying off.
It's working.
All right, last take. And this one, as somebody who films disc golf, this one should really hit home.
Okay. Oh, no.
Here we go. Live disc golf coverage is the future of the sport. The days of post-produced content being such a priority are numbered.
I agree. I don't like my opinion on it. It doesn't make me feel good. But I do agree that live disc golf is the future of the sport because that's how sports work. That's how people consume sports. That's how there's communities surrounding sports, is that fans can get together and watch something at the same time. And even if they're not together, they're watching something at the same time. They're all experiencing it at the same time. And I understand that some people work, but that's how all sports work. I mean, but at the same time, I do love post-round coverage because I think that it looks better. It looks better. The graphics are better. I like the different segments they do. I don't like having to... I'm not a big fan of consuming the jumping from hole to hole and stuff like that. I like to watch one card and I like to watch them all the way through. So that's why it's not as fun for me to watch live golf. It loses my attention quicker because I'm not following a storyline. But I agree that it's the future of the sport and it's necessary.
Wow.
What's my time?
Right on. But I'm not sure if you took a side there.
Did I not?
It looked like you
No,
said...
I said my opinion on it. I said I didn't like my own opinion.
Okay. A lot of fence sitting.
Live disc golf. That was my opinion.
Okay.
Yes.
It's a difficult one, isn't it? That's a good point about, I do wonder when like live disc golf looks will catch up.
Yeah.
Because like
it hasn't looked awful recently.
It is pretty good.
I watched a little bit of live FPO the other day when me and Hunter were in the office, and there was one shot specifically that looked like it was awful.
Yeah.
It was awful.
Every once in a while, the thing about live is every once in a while you catch a camera, just make a mistake, or...
I mean, like the quality.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it looked like it was shot on an iPhone.
Interesting. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of things and a lot of money needed to
But
sort
yeah,
all that
I mean,
out.
it might have been, yeah.
Anyways, though, I wanted to hop back to the whole dress code thing because Foundation tweeted out... By Foundation, I mean me, because I was curious about it. I tweeted out asking about the dress code because I feel like people are like...
He was just looking to get fired up.
I like to get people really riled up in the Twitter comments because like I like tweeting things that are just going to get people stirred up. Like I'm not in it for the likes and retweets.
You just like to poke.
Yeah, I just like to all right, now you guys go fight. Go fight in the comments.
I like how this is the hand motion right now.
Fight, yeah.
But
yeah, so I commented asking like, is the dress code like too strict? Is it perfect? Talking about like mostly the Pro Tour and like the PDGA's like Elite Series dress code. Really the big question is the whole, it's like the war on collared shirts, basically.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there's so many people that like who are against like strict dress codes. It's just like that, man, once you put that collar on a shirt, it's the end of the world for them. They're like, man. And maybe it's society's fault for making a collared shirt like what professionalism is, but it's too late. We did it.
Yeah.
And now we have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know why we did that either. I mean, Nike and like ball golf is trying like really hard right now to modernize and like give some youth to golf clothing because they're trying to sell it.
Yeah.
So they've introduced things that like you got your 60-some-year-old commentators on CBS going, now what's he wearing there, Gary? Like, are those joggers and high-top shoes? Like, it gets them a little confused. And I think that's good. But, man, yeah, golf dress codes are a tricky one because you got disc golf trying to get more refined and ball golf loosening up a little bit so that people don't feel like they're watching, something from their parents' generation.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one. Some people in the comments were just like, a few people like agreed they're like the dress code. Yeah, collared shirts should be the thing. Some people were way off on the spectrum, going, hey, who cares what they wear as long as it's, some like not inappropriate. Which to that it's like, all right, come on now. Yeah, like you gotta have a little bit of professionalism. But the one that gets me that people keep throwing out there that I want to talk about is people throwing out that word, that buzzword, country club.
Yeah, people
love throwing out the word country club when talking about the dress code. It's about two things get
like as like a derogatory term,
right? So two things really get people to stirred up on that word, and it's pay to play rounds. And
I like pay-to-play rounds. Anyway,
right. I mean, here's the thing. If you have a course and it is a private course and you have the ability to charge, you can do so. You are free to do so.
And it means that the course maintenance is great.
Exactly. So, like, that's a whole thing. But related to the dress code, people literally throw that around because, like, they think, like, if we wear collared shirts, it is somehow country club. And it hurts. It makes us look like a country club sport.
You know what? And that's ridiculous in itself because people forget that collared shirts doesn't only mean like plaid polo,
right?
Or polos in general.
Yeah.
It means you can wear like a button up or a button down, whichever way you roll. Like,
hey, sure.
But, like, think about Nico has worn a collared shirt multiple times, but it's not what you would assume a collared shirt looks like. It's not like just like a generic blue or red polo. It's like some crazy patterned
shirt.
That's still a collared shirt.
Well. So now you're on a different train of thought then, because you're saying as long as it's got a collar.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that's what you said, so that's why I'm saying it.
No, that's just now I'm confused.
Because collared shirt could be anything with a collar.
So okay, but then are you? Because like if that's your thing, like when we're talking about collared shirts, we're pretty much alluding to golf polos. Nico stretches that rule.
Yeah.
He wears shirts. Now, I think Nico, for the most part, like what he wears, and maybe what Nico has found here is the middle ground. Nico has found like, hey, you can still wear like some pretty like noteworthy outfits.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's the problem when we talk about the whole collared shirt. Like, it's not like all these fashionistas feel like they're being suppressed.
Yeah.
It's the guys that want to wear t-shirts.
Yeah.
It's like the opposite.
Yeah.
It's the guy who wants to wear the and1 shorts and then the t-shirt, and that's just it. But that is an interesting point on the other side of things is like, yeah, there's a lot more to be done than you think. But yeah, the big like PDGA rule that is left in there right now that is keeping things where it is that you can wear like a dry fit t-shirt, and it's kind of ambiguous, but that pretty much is what's generally accepted as allowed. You can wear that in lieu of the collared shirt, which now let's be clear, like when we see the notable players, any of the notable players wearing the non-collared shirts, they're typically like an Adidas dry fit or a Nike dry fit.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't quite have the same.
I don't think I've ever seen Paul not wear a collared shirt.
Not Paul. No, you would see it from an Eagle or a Calvin, even a Chris Dickerson.
You're right.
Kevin
Simon
Jones would probably too.
Simon wears that Discmania like plastered dry fit all the time. Yeah.
And it is such a weird thing the more I think about it, how much wearing the collared shirt like adds to the look, because like it's like literally just a collar, but it makes it look so much more professional.
Yeah.
But it does, and I think it is important. Now, I don't know that the dress code needs, like, I'm never going to say we need to wear pants. Like, that's a ball golf thing. That's an old thing. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, that's, that is what it is. But I think the collared shirt is a good start. And like Hunter, I mean, we joked about that one time on the podcast, the regulate the pants thing.
Yeah.
Because he was like, hey.
Which kind of blew up.
Right. He was like, hey, if the pants have to be a certain standard, then the rest of the outfit will fall. I think it's kind of the same with collared shirt. If you're wearing a golf polo, then like your rest of your outfit's going to follow suit, and you're just going to look more professional.
Well, I think the real question that I want to know is, would you allow jorts on tour?
Absolutely not.
No jorts?
No jorts on tour.
Not some good cut-off jorts?
I mean, as the PDGA, apparently you are allowed right now. And
I better get some tournaments in before you regulate the pants.
I'm just saying. I don't know. The whole dress code thing is kind of a mystery, but back to like the country club thing, I think is the main point. I think we need to like stop using the word country club, because I just want to know what these people are like talking about when they say country club in relation to like dress code. I think it's like I think they're talking about it in a manner of like, oh, you had to go to the country club, you have to wear this, so it's like an exclusivity. I think it all goes back to like the snobby exclusivity type thing. But like a dress code, like you if you work at McDonald's, there's a dress code.
Yeah.
Like, so is that a country club?
And usually it's a polo.
Yeah, and usually it's a collared shirt. So does McDonald's have a country club attitude? You know,
it's just a way for people to try to like put
And
some
like,
kind of
yeah,
term to
like-
shame
and
an
like,
opinion
what's
that's
the-
different than theirs.
yeah. What's the big deal? Like wear a collared shirt. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just think, I mean, we want it to be a professional sport.
Yeah.
I do, at least. I don't know if everybody else does, but I would think.
Yeah.
And the way towards there is to look more professional.
Yeah, I heard people. I also saw people in the comments mentioning jerseys similar to
That
like
sounds awful.
the Jomez ones, and like, listen, that's a cool shirt, sure, if you're into that sort of thing, but like, no, golf.
And
golf
also
is,
directly in the sunlight, those jerseys are. There's no way that's
well,
comfortable.
yeah, golf is like an individual sport. Like the whole idea behind a jersey is like you identify your teammates.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So like golf, like that's almost like a stricter dress code because like golf, like you have the
Yeah.
chance to express yourself.
I like that players get to have a chance to show their personality.
Right, you know, beyond having to,
I love some of the polos I've seen Germ wear.
right.
Like this,
There's a
he's
good
wearing, like, even
example.
like a shirt like this, but as a polo. Like
Yeah.
see some of that stuff, and I think that's super fun because
Yeah.
it makes him look like a fun, like goofy, approachable guy, but he's still a professional,
Right.
and
yeah.
it doesn't make him look any less so.
Yeah, I think.
But it
there's-
also doesn't make him look like a country club tool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't get it. There's a lot more to wearing collared shirts than just like being some stingy, you know, wearing your little cardigan over top of it.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I don't know. I think there's
I think that we should regulate, and everyone should have to wear a polo and an ascot.
yes, and that is the rule from now on. Then we'll use country club. Anyways, that just is what triggered me last night. Anyway,
That didn't trigger you. You triggered yourself. You
I started the fight just so I could get angry at it. Yeah. Anyway, it started the fight. Now I just got to figure out what fight I'm going to start tonight in Twitter. Sometimes I just like reminding myself that people have like some like really out there opinions on disc golf, and it's just like
Yeah.
fascinating to
It is
sift through
fascinating.
them.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun that there are so many different opinions on it, and I
Yeah.
like that there's so many different opinions on it.
Yeah.
I just want to throw out one thing that it made me think of it because you said that you were going to post another thing, and it just made me feel like you just had free reign over whatever you wanted to since Hunter's not here.
Yeah. Neither will
But
you.
Hunter's at the beach right now. This is his first grip lock that he's not on.
Yeah.
And I could see it in him last week. He had brought it up, and I could see it was really hard for him to let it go.
Yeah.
But
Another
You know
thing I totally forgot to mention, by the way, if today is Thursday when this comes out, tomorrow,
Yeah.
Friday, is Hunter's birthday. He's turning 28. So make sure to go wish him a happy birthday on social media.
happy birthday, Hunter.
Or wherever he is. And yeah,
He's getting up there, man.
he is getting up there.
Yeah.
I know. But let's move on to, it's weird because normally this segment is like introduced from Hunter and he calls it the fan favorite, but nobody's ever said it's their favorite. So I'm just going to call it the segment that exists, Trevor's Trivia. And I'm Trevor. All right. So, you know, in honor of our fallen leader who hasn't fell, but actually gone to the beach, Hunter, we're going to have a Hunter trivia question
He's
today.
going to be falling whenever he gets back, and he sees some of the stuff that we've done.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah.
You guys watch the video that comes out on Friday.
Yeah, you're gonna
You'll
wanna-
see. You're gonna. It was all just me and Trevor just had free reign to come up with whatever we wanted, and boy
Bad
did
idea.
we.
Yeah, you're going to want to see it. I'm
You're-
really excited. We've been giddy
Yes.
about it for a while.
Yeah.
So, our trivia question today. So, our boss, Hunter, he has 8 career wins. How many? And I know, Connor, I know you're such a big fan of Hunter. Like, you love him and, like,
I do.
you
I love
follow
Hunter.
his career so
Yeah.
carefully.
Mhm.
So, how many of those wins can you name? If any.
I don't think I can name any.
Really?
Okay. Well, I know.
You should be able to name one.
Well, one was at Nationals. Was it not?
Do you think Hunter's a national champion?
You're right. You're right. I'm thinking about how he got the All-American trophy.
Yeah. I was going to say, I didn't see any national championship banners anywhere. He did have one collegiate win my sophomore year. You were on the team this year.
Was it at NC State?
No.
Was it at Clemson? I'm just gonna start naming all
It was
of
a
them.
tournament that we won. We didn't win either of those two.
I don't remember, man.
Really? I
don't
thought you'd
know.
at least.
Oh, was it David's Cup?
David's Cup? Dean's Cup?
Dean's Cup? Was it David's Cup?
Well, we didn't win Dean's Cup, and it's not a singles event. He won Seco.
Oh, cool.
You didn't know that?
I don't know anything. I just called it David's Cup.
Seco was an event that we didn't usually go to, but that year we flew out there, champ flight, and we won by like 20.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Really, it was our first event of the year. I came in third. That was my best finish ever. I beat Raven Newsom, who's like 23rd in the
Nice.
right now. Best day of my life, practically. and we won by like 20.
Oh, I remember during one of Trevor's trivias, you said, I slapped him around at Seco.
Yeah, there you go. That was Seco.
I remember that.
It was a great weekend. We killed everybody. We thought, this is our year. We're going to stomp over everybody, and we proceeded not to win like the rest of the year. So
That's cool.
Yeah.
Good job, Hunter.
let me just go ahead and read off his other wins real quick.
I am a big Hunter fan. I know nothing about his wins, but I'm a big Hunter
Well, there's a
fan.
follow-up question. Who has a higher win percentage, Hunter or Drew Gibson?
Just because of the satire of the question, I'm going to guess that it's Hunter.
Ding, ding, ding. That's correct. Hunter has a win percentage of 12.5%, while Drew Gibson's win percentage is 6.3%.
Well, he hasn't had those Penroses in his bag for that long, so Drew Gibson's
Maybe he'll start catching them.
might go up more. But Hunter also just put a Penrose in his bag, so
Well, I guess it's just going to even out. I just thought that was a really funny stat.
it is really
Yeah.
funny.
But
That
yeah,
is super
anyways,
funny.
before I forget, Hunter, he won the 2016 and 2017 Commonwealth Games, the 2017 Elk Creek Classic, the 2017 Battle in the Blue Ridge, the 2018 Sasquatch Open, 2018 Seco, and 2020 Monita Madness.
He's going to love that you're putting all this in here.
He's got so many wins, man. He is so good at disc golf. Like, whenever we play against each
really
other,
is,
just
bro.
remember how good he is at disc golf.
I would just, you know what? I can actually say something because I'm in front of the camera.
Okay.
I would like to just go in and say this isn't. You don't have to put an opinion on this. Just let you know.
Okay, I might.
People be trashing my boys all the time in the comments. I'm not coming after anybody. Just be clear. I'm not gonna ever do that. But whenever I think about Hunter and Trevor, I think about whenever I was on the team with them, and they were really good back then. You guys did a lot of. Okay, they were.
Hunter was
they
really
were
good.
pretty good.
I was okay. Hunter
Trevor
was really good.
around people who were really good.
Yeah, Hunter was actually super good.
But Hunter was very, very good.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I remember you guys as being super good, and you guys are still super good. But you're only ever doing stupid videos, and usually no warm up or anything, just go straight into the video. And so I'll just be clear: they're not awful at disc golf. They're not.
People are
amazing
really,
at disc golf.
People are really gonna think there's a gun to your head right now.
There's not. I'm just a huge fan. I just love them. I love these boys.
Well, that's very touching.
Also, Hunter is you reading that off. He's gonna be so excited because he's gonna listen to the podcast.
Yeah,
on Thursday,
of course.
And then then on Friday he's gonna get hit with just a huge downer.
Hey, keep that quiet. All right, on to our next segment.
I'm not saying what it is. It just he knows something's coming.
Yeah, yeah, you know something a little bit. I call this one flop or not. You like that?
Elevation disc.
I was about to say pretty much.
What's it called? The
Interceptor?
Influencer?
The influencer. That's what you got to be.
It's my disc.
I'm done. All right. So I mentioned earlier that we have a lot of guys breaking out this year that we didn't expect, and then there's a lot of guys that we did expect to have breakout seasons that aren't.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to go through a few players that are kind of on that borderline of they had a lot of hype going into the season, and their season has been kind of meh.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to ask if you think they're having a flop of a season or not really, just kind of meh or okay. First, we have probably the biggest candidate for this, and that is Ezra Aderhold. I'll read off their finishes this year. Before he gets that, so his finishes were second, promising start. Then he went 22nd, 27th, 67th, 76th, 32nd, 20th, and 44th.
I think it's a flop. I think he has potential to do better, and this season has just been a flop for him.
Yeah.
Because I definitely think that he has the ability to do better. He's got the skills to. And you know what? Matt asked him on the Nick and Matt show at the beginning, as soon as he got that second place win, he said, well, Ezra, was this a fluke? And Ezra said no. But, I mean, I don't think it was a fluke. I think he deserved it. But I think this season's a bit of a flop for him. But that is not saying that he's a bad player. I think we're going to see better seasons from him.
Yeah, I agree. I think Ezra, you know, with all the hype he was getting and with the Discraft signing, you know,
He's getting a lot of hype.
and like to be fair, he created a lot of his hype. So,
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's good. It's good hype.
he's a
because
likable guy.
he's a likable guy, and he marketed himself,
Right,
which is
exactly.
great. I mean, I was super excited that he got picked up by Discraft and had so much hype around him because of the way that he made it all happen.
Yeah, I do think he's talented, but it's definitely a flop of a season. He's not, you know, in that top 20 as much as I thought he would be. Next player is a player who, you know, I have him on this list not because he was like a hyped for a breakout, but kind of a guy that we keep tossing. Like every year, we find a reason to toss him into like our top 6 or 7 in the world. And yet he kind of keeps disappointing us, and that is Kevin Jones.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna say
So Kevin Jones finishes this year our 7th. So he won the reason why he really had a lot of hype is because he won the Pro Tour finale last year.
Yeah.
So we had that reason, and then he's gone 7th, 54th, 14th, 5th, 32nd, 4th, 31st, and 14th. So a few top 10s, 3 of them, but then surrounded by a lot of not good finishes.
Yeah. You want me to go first?
Go for it.
He didn't a few top 10s.
Yeah.
Was up there, but he hasn't really been up there.
Right.
He's kind of been out of the mix.
I don't know. Even at his home like event, Jonesboro, when he finished 4th, his best finish, he wasn't really in contention to win, and that was kind of the sign for me. It's like, I don't really know.
I think this is an off year for him for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Continue saying what you're saying.
I don't really know what it is with his game. I guess it's just not all really coming together. But you know, we've kind of been talking about Kevin Jones. Like it seems to happen a lot in sports where like there's an athlete that seems like they're an up and comer and a young gun and like this like future superstar, and they keep that role for like almost their whole career. And it's like, all right, he's 30. At what point are we going to say
when is he going to get better?
Yeah, or at what point are we just like going to write him off? And like Kevin Jones, it seems like it's been quite a few years now, and he manages to always snag that like one win that like, you know, he had that first win at Jonesboro a few years back, and then he won the finale. But it's just like, there's always that one win that just keeps him in our minds, and like he's not having.
Yeah,
let's not.
Everybody wants him to finish well.
I like Kevin Jones.
I like Kevin Jones a lot, and honestly, he's so entertaining to watch play.
Yeah,
like he throws cool shots.
Yeah,
I mean, he bombs an M4 like on Heiser for like 350 feet, and then it flips over and finishes right like 420 feet later.
Yeah,
like it's pretty cool. But
and he's not having any kind of like horrific like nightmare season. It's just not what we expect out of a guy who we kind of think of as like even a top 10 player.
And I kind of feel like people have hyped up Kevin Jones too much in the past, and that's why he always seems to. It seems like he's finishing lower than he actually is.
Yeah,
and it's because people hype him up so much, but he's not done a ton of impressive, important things.
Yeah,
he just is he's fun to watch. He's won some stuff, and he was young at one point.
He was young at one point.
But I do like Kevin Jones a lot, and I would like to see him play better.
Same. Yeah. So the last guy I have here on this list, I kind of put him here because I hyped him up a lot at the beginning of the season because his first 2 finishes were both firsts. I believe they were both in Arizona, or I know one at least was. And it's important. I put them here first because they were not big stacked fields. I mean, I think AB was like his biggest competition at both of them. And he won them both, and he looked invincible. Mm-hmm. Like I tweeted at one point, I'm like, Adam Hammonds is going to win like 3 Pro Tours this year. Like he did not miss a putt at one of those events, like inside of 50 feet.
Yeah.
He was throwing so well. And I was like, okay, Adam Hammonds is going to be a top 5 player by the end of this year. And so the rest of his finishes have been 14th, 6th, 34th, 24th, 5th, 5th, 9th. So that's the way you would look at that. And you would look at the Adam Hammonds we saw.
He was never crazy low.
Right. So we'd look at like an Adam Hammonds from like last year, the year before, and be like, that's a good season for Adam Hammonds. I only put him here because I think
it looks more promising.
His game, I think, is capable of being really, really good, better than just kind of barely breaking into the top 5. I think he should be challenging for wins more. So I'm not going to say it's a flop. But I am going to say I'm still waiting on Adam Hammes to explode
meh.
a little bit. It's a meh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like Adam Hammes and I like watching him play, but there have been few times that I've watched him play and he's played well.
Yeah.
Like he is very inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
He sometimes puts huge putts in the baskets.
Yeah.
And sometimes throws killer drives, but then he's just pretty inconsistent.
Right.
And I feel like him and AB remind me of each other a lot in their strengths, because they're both young guys who can throw really hard. But they're both pretty inconsistent.
Yeah.
But I like him and I'd like him to finish well, but he's kind of, I'm with you. It's kind of a meh.
Yeah.
He had the potential with those wins at the beginning of the season, but
Definitely. Yeah, so before we get into our predictions for next week's event, the challenge at Goat Hill, I wanted to talk a little bit about parity in disc golf. So we're seeing, I've really been noticing lately, and especially this past weekend, where we were getting towards, after the second round and even after the third round, I was looking at the leaderboard and I was like, wow, like they are all of the good names we know that we love to see on a really crowded leaderboard, and they're all within a few strokes of each other. I'm really starting to see this year the leaderboards. We've talked about like new guys winning each week, which is like a kind of a form of parity, but really what's exciting about this is how the leaderboards are shaking up to where there's so many players in contention to where that final day or that moving day round is like a must watch and you got to follow everything. And it's, I think it's coming with, just a bigger crop of talented players. There's just more and more guys that are getting better at disc golf and they're catching up to the top. So I think Paul and Ricky, if we're going to say those guys are the top of the game, I think Paul and Ricky are, I hate to say it, but probably at their ceiling. There's probably not, I don't know if either of those two are going to get any better than they can be at their best right now.
Any better? Yeah, I could see that.
I think they can play better than certain times, but I don't think they're going to get any better than their best is right now.
Yeah.
Probably not. So I think guys are starting to slowly catch up a little bit, the younger players, and I think more are just getting into the game. But I kind of had an interesting, idea about this, and that is two things. Number one is, when we have these more crowded leaderboards and there's so many good players, how is that going to shift people's standards of what makes for a good season? Since we just talked about these other guys' seasons.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
What is that going to do, and how long is it going to take for that, shift? Because then my second point was, how is this going to affect Hall of Fame and greatest of all time, those GOAT conversations down the line? Because you might have a guy 20 years from now who is entering that, maybe that GOAT conversation to like upstage, Paul or Climo, whoever you have in that spot right now. And we've kind of already had a little bit of it with Climo with the whole winning 12 world titles and Paul only winning 5.
Yeah.
But it's going to get even more extreme because winning 5 world titles might be unattainable. Again. It might be unattainable 5 years from now, or not 5 years, 20 years from now. But if we have a guy who's won 2 world titles and seems so much like, you're almost going to have to assess it from like a pure sense of just watching them play disc golf and just seeing how good they are. And that's where it's become in other sports and how it gets so subjective and becomes a real argument. Because right now you can just look at stat lines and you can make a pretty easy argument for Paul being the greatest of all time. Yeah. Plus his playing ability. But down the line, it's going to get harder. So I just wanted to ask you about like what you think about all that.
I do think these are good points. The very first thing is I love it. I think it's so cool that we know that there's just not going to be someone dominating every tournament. Yeah. That I think it's so cool that I'm seeing names that I haven't even really thought about much before now starting to finish like first and second and third and just top 10 in general. Yeah. And that's a good point that we just talked about. Those people, are they having a flop of a season? But in reality, they might not be having a flop. We just might be having a great season for disc golf. Yeah. Period. And I think I'm with you. I do think that's how it's going to be in the future. I don't think anybody's going to win. I don't think anybody's going to get 5 world titles.
Interesting.
Maybe definitely not 20 years from now.
It's hard to say.
That is true because even in the stacked field of golf, Tiger still dominated.
Yeah, you have to.
So like, there's still always gonna be someone who is good and consistent.
You have to remember. Now, this hasn't quite happened yet. We haven't. Disc golf's like beginning of prime Now, Paul, let me see. Paul is 30 right now. He won his first world title 9 years ago, right? 2012.
Yes.
Yeah. So age 21. So he was pretty young. But if you think about it and compare it to other sports, realistically, we could have a guy start his prime like at age 20 and end his prime like upper 30s, age 37.
Wait, I think we could have them start their prime. We can have younger players competing in disc golf because we don't work the same way other sports do.
True.
We work like golf. Like golf doesn't have a. I'm thinking in the sense that like other sports have college and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think like obviously physically, like there are guys who could play on that same level at age 16, but it's the mental thing that is usually what separates them. But I'm thinking like if you have you can have like maybe at least a 15-year career in your in a prime, 5 world titles out of 15. It doesn't seem necessarily unattainable.
Yeah, but you've got another. The people, we're just going to add more people who have that potential.
It's true.
So 5 out of 15 doesn't seem that bad, but whenever you've got 100 people who have the potential to have 5 out of 15, I mean, it's less likely.
It's definitely it's definitely going to be interesting, and I think really what it's just going to do is like however many years from now, it's just going to make arguing for the greatest of all time pretty much futile because especially if enough guys get to the top at a talent level of Paul, then it'll just be impossible to argue because it's the same thing that happens in every other sport. People use certain stats to try and prove their point, but those stats are kind of like not really the point. And then if you can't have a guy from 50 years ago playing against a guy from right now. That's the only way we'd ever really know, and we can't see it, unfortunately. Computer simulation hasn't gotten there yet. If it ever does, there will be chaos in the streets. If they ever figure out how to put a simulation of LeBron James in Michael Jordan's era and he scores 80 points every game, there's going to be a lot of old people who are upset. And that's all I'll say on that. And Hunter's not here to correct me, and Connor doesn't care.
I don't care.
All right, so we're gonna quickly get away from that, and we're going to go into our predictions. So this week is a little bit of like an off week. Because we have, I think it's the OTB Open. That is the following week. I may be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. So there's this week there was a Silver Series, and that's what we're going to talk about, the challenge at Goat Hill. And then there's also, Paul isn't even going to be there. He's going to be playing Huck Central in South Carolina, and that's actually a course that we've played. Yeah. Because that is where Clemson University plays, and it's a fun course.
Well, I haven't played there, actually.
You never played Clemson?
No, I never played Clemson.
Okay. Well, I've played Clemson a few times, and it is a fun course. I'll be interested to watch some good players out there, but the better field is at the Silver Series, so that's what we'll talk about. Like we said, it's a light field, so especially for the FPO. MPO, there's some good players out there. My MPO predictions, Ricky is by far the best player there. Yeah. He's going to win most likely.
I bet you're going to. What if you have the same picks as me?
Second and third get a little tricky. I'm going to go with Drew Gibson in second.
Wow.
I didn't want to because I just don't. He is like such a top 10 guy. Like he can get into those top 10s without a lot of trouble, but he's never really contending. But I do know.
Now might be his time.
I think he's from California. I believe he is.
That sounds right. I'm not sure.
He's definitely West Coast, so I think he's near his home turf because this is in California, and I know he can pop off hot rounds, and I feel one coming. He's gonna go off for a hot round and hold on to second, and then third place is also tough. I'm gonna pick Anthony Barella because obviously I'm like his biggest fan. But beyond that, I mean the field is just like.
Have you guys been DMing?
We haven't. He gave me the follow on Instagram, and that was big. But haven't worked up the courage yet. But the field is pretty light, so it's not difficult to pick him for third. What do you have for MPO?
I've got Ricky, and then I went with I'm starting to regret.
Here we go.
I went with Yuli for second.
That's actually a good pick. It's a great pick.
What I'm regretting is I went Nico for third.
That's not a bad pick. I thought about it. He's kind of having a dud of a season lately.
I like Nico. I'm not I'm in love with Nico, but I like it whenever Nico finishes high because I feel like his era of being really, really good got overlooked by a lot of disc golfers that are just now getting into the sport.
True.
And so I want him to get a little bit more of that recognition. Exactly. And nobody, and he doesn't really get any recognition for that anymore, I feel like, because it got outshadowed by the soon-to-be Macbeth period.
Yeah.
And so I always want Nico to play really well. Anytime I see Nico on a card, I'm rooting for him to throw really well.
Wow.
But he's always fun to watch.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. So the FPO field is super light. Like a lot. Yeah. There's still a lot of good players there, but a lot of our top players are Haley Kings. Our Paige Pierce is still on her hiatus, and then Katrina Allen is taking some time off as well. So the field is a little bit lighter. My picks were Jessica Weiss, California native, in first. Kona Panis, another California native, in second. And then third place, going with Holland Hanley. I'm excited to see how she does. Recently signed with Dynamic after a couple breakout performances. Obviously, she beat Katrina Allen in Arizona, and that was like what put her on the map. But like just got into disc golf and is like super good already. So I'm gonna pick her to sneak into third place.
I switched around your top two. I went Kona, Jessica Weiss, and I went Owens Coggins.
Owens Coggins, yeah. Owen has had a good season, and then this last event she really blew up at the DDO. So hopefully, she's
had a decent season. I think that she's got third place in her.
I think you're probably right. So then the dark horse picks.
Yeah.
Go ahead and start with yours.
I've got, I don't know how to say his last name.
Okay.
Tim Lesueur. Leisure.
Lesueur. That's what I would guess.
Well, I'm gonna go with Tim. He is. Oh, I didn't even write down what he was rated. I might have it still pulled up. He is usually, like I'm right here. Usually I like to go for a really low rated player, just because I like to do that. But he's medium. He's 984 rated, but he's from California. That's about it. That's about all I looked at.
You know, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
I found what I'm really thinking could be the cheater pick, and that's Max Nichols. Max Nichols is 997 rated. He was 1,008 rated for the longest time. Like, he was a pretty good player and just recently dipped under 1,000 rated, and he's in his home state. I really think Max Nichols, like, honestly could come, like, top 10. So, like...
The only reason I didn't pick him was because out of pride, I have to pick someone lower rated.
Surely I can't lose this week. Hunter has the most interesting pick. He sent it to me. Somebody DM'd him and like showed video of him playing this course so that like Hunter would pick. Even though he's 947 rated, Hunter is still confident to pick Jake Brown. So Jake Brown, that is Hunter's pick, and we shall see how that works out.
That's exciting.
That is exciting.
That's exciting. Someone did exactly what we said, and he was feeling good. He's like, I'm going to play well. Let me hit him up.
Yeah. Hey, if anybody else wants to try for dark horse picks, we don't put too much thought into it. So if we're persuaded, we will definitely pick you.
If you tell us to pick you, we're going to pick you.
Yeah. For sure. So we're gonna wrap up today's episode with a make that call, and I was left in charge of this.
With a lot of questions today.
I know. I feel like this is like an interview. It's weird. It's different being like the host. It's like,
you're doing a really good job.
Thank you, man. Hunter,
I really enjoy it.
I got a new respect for Hunter now. He's very good at this.
I like both of you guys. I can't pick a favorite.
All right. So this scenario, I hope that we haven't like used this in some degree. I don't know. This is hard, but I found one I think is decent.
Okay.
It's a scenario you're playing in an event in 90-degree heat and 100% humidity. So just think it's gross.
Oh, this collar's so annoying.
Yeah. Yeah. You are just so mad at us for getting the rules changed. You have to wear that collared shirt. So one of your card mates is having trouble holding onto the disc, and you notice him dip his hands into a container possessing some kind of tar-like substance. I was thinking like pine tar in baseball is what the pitchers would use a lot to cheat for grip.
Gotcha.
So it's clear that he's using it for grip on the disc. Over time, you notice that the substance begins to build up on the disc significantly, making the presence of the substance very obvious to everyone on the card. Is there a possible rule infringement to call this player on?
I know there's no regulation, like no rules against putting anything on your hand for grip, but there are rules on putting stuff on your disc for grip. Now, I don't know where they draw the line of at which point it's on your hand and at which point it's on your disc, but I'm going to say if it's like visibly on your disc and everybody on the card can like agree to it, I'm going to say it becomes an illegal disc.
Yes. Excellent assessment there. That is true. So there is no rules on like what you're able to use on your hands for grip, which I'm not sure how I feel about that.
I think that's how I feel about it either.
I think that's okay because I don't think like in some sports it's just so obvious. Like in the NFL, if you're a receiver, it's just so obvious that having sticky hands is going to help you.
Yeah.
Now in baseball, it's a little different because baseball is a sport where they use a grip substance when they cheat the pitchers. It is not to make the ball stick to their hand, but just for a little more friction. So like using that side by side, you would think disc golf, if they found there to be an advantage with a little more grip, then maybe they'll look at it. Unless it becomes, we're allowed to use chalk. Now, baseball players are allowed to use like a rosin bag for grip, similar. They just can't use something that sticks.
Yeah.
So until it becomes a problem, it's nothing they need to address.
There's a weird line there where everybody can have like an even playing field, as in like some people have really sweaty hands, some people have really dry hands, so you can like kind of level that out a little bit. But then there's a point where you're modifying discs in a way.
But then the rule is then if the substance were to build up on the disc to greatly affect the diameter or weight of the disc, that's when it becomes the problem.
That's a good point.
So you correctly assessed that. But yeah, that is it. That is the end of the Trevor Connor episode. Maybe the only one you'll ever see after Hunter, gets a listen on this one. But anyways, make sure to. I can't really think if there's any super specific. Oh, I think there may be another Ledgestone wave coming soon, so be able to keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
That's exciting. We don't really know everything we're getting with that, but if it's anything like last time, it's going to be pretty sick. We are still developing our next apparel line, so keep an eye out for that as well. But I think that's a lot of what's going on at Foundation.
And watch the video that comes out on Friday.
And watch the video that comes out tomorrow. Hunter's birthday.
You'll get a
Wish
kick
him
out
that
of it.
happy birthday.
Yeah.
Watch the video. It's going to be hilarious. But other than that, we will see you next time.
See ya.